This has Oiler fans very concerned as the organization looks to be walking and not running to the telephones to make the team much, much better this season. All that and more today here on Oilers Digest. We will dive into the latest on what the Oilers are planning to do for any moves that will occur this season. There's the Oilers get set to take on the Dallas Stars tomorrow night without Mikko Rantanen in the Dallas Stars lineup as he was suspended for one game after a hit from behind during the Calgary game on Saturday night there. So the Oilers, a little bit of an advantage with no Mikko Rantanen on the other side there, but who knows? Stranger things have happened there. Hope everybody's enjoying their Monday so far, and hope you're enjoying the videos so far this season. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for any and all Oiler news there. Now, without further ado, let's get into the latest on the Oilers, shall we? From Pierre LeBrun there. After the Oilers completed their 7-game road trip in Sunrise, the sense is the Oilers want to reach the 30-game mark to take stock, hopefully have a healthier roster by then, as they still have, Kasperi Kapanen on LTIR, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is still on the IR, Jake Wallman, so on and so forth there. The Oilers catching a little bit of the injury bug, but what team isn't at this point of the season so far? And to also examine their needs, decide where to focus on in terms of the trade market, etc. there in the replies. A lot of people are saying, okay, it takes 30 games to realize what you need. Brad says, it's a goalie. I don't think it takes a genius to see that. Swap says, need 30 games to assess where the needs are with a 0.850 save percentage. And Pickle says, not sure what they need. And a picture says 1,000 words there. So for the Oilers, to realize, hey, 30 games out of an 82-game season to sort of see what you need, even with a healthy roster. It's very, very obvious there, even though the Oilers are supposedly 6 games away from, the organization deciding, what do we need? What do we need to make the team a whole lot better? But even, it's been all doom and gloom. For me, I've been, admittedly enough, a little bit of that, but they're only 4 points behind the Anaheim Ducks for first place in the Pacific Division there. They're technically tied with the Utah Mammoth there for the second wildcard spot, even though Utah does have 2 games in hand. The only thing that worries me about the Oilers, with the rest of the teams, is the lack of regulation wins. You can see, Vegas and Anaheim both with 9 regulation wins, Seattle with 7, Utah with 8, and then San Jose, Edmonton, and Los Angeles with either 5 or 6 there. But the Oilers on the back end of that road trip, they seem to show signs of life offensively and defensively, goaltending. Other than, the Pickard game in Tampa Bay, it's still something that has me very, very on edge there, and it needs to, be a little more consistent for me to stop worrying whenever the opposite team, crosses the Oiler blue line there. But, the organization, Bowman, Knoblauch, so on and so forth, they're going to say, hey, yeah, we don't have, enough room to make some space here. But if you look at, other goalie trades in the past couple of years, teams have made it work. Is it going to be easier for the Oilers this year? No, because all the other 31 teams are going to realize, hey, yeah, that's what we need. So if they want to, come calling us, they better pony up there, even though, with teams like Buffalo, they have 3 goaltenders. Boston has a goalie surplus. Numerous other teams, Cam Talbot has been linked to the Oilers. Don't think he's going to come back. He was pretty much chased away from Edmonton in the first place. But, good teams find a way, or good front offices, I should say, find a way to make the team better when it's quite so very obvious what is needed there. And Darren Dreger saying, patience is wearing thin in Edmonton, but it's still give them another 10 days to 2 weeks to really assess. And that was from November 21st there. Today's the 24th, so technically, a week, or 2 weeks to, again, really assess. But I know, folks, everybody knows what they need there. I'm not going to beat that dead horse until the cows come home all day today. But again, time and time again, it's not just, the fans and social media, it's, broadcasters around the NHL realizing what the deficiency is with this team. Even though, the offensive slowdown has been prevalent there, we haven't seen something like this since, the back end of 2021 when Dave Tippett was still the coach of the Edmonton Oilers before he was fired in favor of Jay Woodcroft there. But we haven't seen, the Edmonton Oilers be this offensively inept in literally 4 years there. December 2021, when the back end of the Dave Tippett days were dark. That team was just a slog to watch, even though they had McDavid in Draisaitl, and eventually they did go to the Western Conference Final that year, so there is some precedent for this Oiler team to, have their back against the wall. And hey, it's all sunshine and rainbows at the end of the day. But you can see from the Woodcroft era until he was fired in favor of Kris Knoblauch there, you can see the dip there in November 2023. The huge dip there. But again, that wasn't so much the offensive fault of the Oilers. That was just them being not having the best goaltending there with Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner, and it reflected on the offense there. The offense was, getting the expected goals, but just wasn't potting them away. Goaltending brought down that team, and eventually Jay Woodcroft there, but there is still some time for the Oilers to, turn things around here and get back on track. And from Tony Brewer of Oilers TV, from the Oilers practice earlier today, some notes. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is questionable for Tuesday against the Dallas Stars, but is more likely for Saturday afternoon in Seattle there. And then Kasperi Kapanen and Jake Walman will not play tomorrow against the Stars, as Kapanen is technically still on LTIR there. And he hasn't been activated in the proper window, is what I was trying to say there, but still no Kapanen in Walman. Not too sure what's wrong with Walman there. He did, have a walking boot on. It was off, so this is more so just the Oilers, taking it easy, taking it light with Jake Walman, not trying to rush him back. And then Noah Philp and Curtis Lazar will still be out at least a week there, so the injury bug catching up to the Oilers, but hopefully we can get, some reinforcements very soon. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a huge, part of that Oiler lineup when he is healthy, and hopefully he can make that return soon there. The lines and pairings from today's practice there, also courtesy of Tony Brewer: Matt Savoy, Connor McDavid, in Jack Roslovic, with Vasily Podkolzin and Leon Draisaitl and Mangiapane, Trent Frederic, Adam Henrique in Zach Hyman, and then the fourth line with Connor Clattenburg, David Tomasek in Matthias Janmark there, so it stays the same from the win against the Florida Panthers. And then Roger Hopkins and Kapanen were the extra forwards today there, and on the back end, Ekholm in Bouchard, Nurse Regula, and then Kulak in Emerson, with Stuart Skinner in Calvin Pickard there, with Hyman on the third line, trying to get rejuvenated with Trent Frederic, who I think has been playing, pretty solid the past couple games there. We saw the shenanigans with him in AJ Greer in Florida on Saturday night there, but I think Frederic, there is, something starting to boil there. I think, Frederic, he got a lot of flack during, the early parts of the season, and I was adding on to that there. We signed him for 8 years and ghosted pretty much every single night, but I think, the return of Hyman has given something more to Trent Frederic there, and Zach Hyman saying it's been a tough schedule for the guys, and then I come back and play 5 in 8 days, but I think we're in a good spot. I picked up where I left off, and we're comfortable being in uncomfortable situations. We haven't had a healthy roster. It'll be nice to get the full group as we start to build our team game. There you can see Zach Hyman always got a smile on him. A fan favorite of the Oilers and a favorite of mine. But for the Oilers, I don't think these are the perfect lines. I think I'd rather see something like this here. Let me know what you'd like to see down in the comments. Hyman, McDavid, in Savoy, I think would be a dynamite first line there. The top six itself is dynamite, with Podkolzin, Draisaitl, and Roslovic. I loved that trio when they were together. And then the third line of Henrique, Nugent-Hopkins, and Mangiapane. I think those two wingers would, benefit with Nugent-Hopkins against, playing against lower competition there. In the fourth line, the crash and bang line with Connor Clattenburg, Trent Frederic, and Kasperi Kapanen. I would personally love these lines here, but there's something that, Kris Knoblauch has seen with his own eyes, and, with the consultation with his coaching staff, that the lines that we saw against Florida in today is something that he would much rather prefer there. And for those that like the goalie gear there, Stuart Skinner is breaking in new gear at practice there with the alternate uniforms there. The saying, hopefully look good, feel good, play good. Hopefully that can translate to the ice there when the Oilers don their alternate gear yet again there. And the Oilers, especially Captain Connor McDavid, they're trying to get something, going together. We still got better hockey to play, but it's a work in progress. Definitely some good signs at the end of the trip, and we're looking forward to finding our best game at home there against a Central Division juggernaut, the Dallas Stars, who again will still be without Mikko Rantanen, but I mean, you still have other top guys on that team there, especially, a guy like Jake Ottinger, who would want some revenge from the past few years in the Western Conference Final there, says, what, I'm not going to get outdueled by Stuart Skinner yet again. That stops here there in the Dallas Stars in the Colorado Avalanche there. Hopefully that's not a repeat of the Colorado game, but again, these Oiler teams or this Oilers team, I should say, they should get up the, get themselves hyped up for these big time games there, because again, you could be very well seeing them again in May, and just need to start on time. That is the biggest, flaw for the Oilers. They started on time 2 games in a row against the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers there, and especially Dallas, who will be hungry coming into that one. You just need to start on time there, and the rest will follow. But that is it for today's video, folks. Again, let me know down in the comments what you thought about the Oilers being patient, waiting until game number 30, 2 weeks, the start of December, to finally do something, or hopefully try to do something. So again, would love to know what you all have to say down below. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, folks. Take care. I'm Matt.